Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Twitch Talk, your place for all of the latest Twitch happenings, guests. What else do we do? Jokes at my expense. That's the one.
Big one.
We've got another week of very special guests for you here this week. And, of course, I'm joined. My name is Ian Barker, by the way. I'm joined by my host, Syra Muller, a little bit scatterbrained. I apologize, folks. But, Syra, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Ian, how are you doing?
Tired.
Yeah,
exhausted,
it seems like it.
a little bit punchy, to be completely honest. But we have a very special show for you guys today. We have a couple of very extremely manly streamers coming on. That, of course, is CohhCarnage and Ellohime, both very much caught up in the rush. There they are. Those are those beautiful faces. And it's funny because I came on with them before the show and I said, I've always been very proud of my beard, and yet having them on the show certainly creates a beard inferiority complex that I'll likely be dealing with for the rest of my life. Gentlemen, how are you doing today? Co, we seem to have lost your camera. Oh, there you go. How are you guys doing today?
Co?
Doing great. Doing awesome. Another day on Twitch. It's a good day.
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, man. It's a little bit hectic today, but trying to contain it, get it all in under one roof, and push through.
And not at all helped, I'm sure, by playthroughs of Dark Souls. Especially those little stabby guys with the snake necks. What are those things? Seriously, the most frustrating enemy Dark Souls may have ever come up with. I'm impressed that you guys still have hair and you haven't torn it all out after playing Dark Souls for the past week or so.
Go.
And I'm so sorry. My video is dying all over the place here. I've been having a great time in Dark Souls. Been having an absolute blast. It's been a real ride. I'm doing 2 different playthroughs right now in parallel, and just absolutely enjoying it. Having a great time with it.
Excellent. Well, let's go ahead and kick things off very basically by asking.
Goes again.
You should be lucky. We actually had a Dota show one time where the guy's Skype picture was a picture of him bare-chested covering up his left nipple, and his camera went dead in the middle of the show, and all you saw was man nipple, just large and in charge on the screen.
And the channel was then banned off Twitch.
Exactly. Yeah.
Co has those pictures. He has those pictures somewhere. I've seen them. So.
You have man nipple pictures?
My tasteful nudes. Yes. it's my back.
Are the black and white, artfully done? It was more, nudity's empowering, especially for men like Co.
I find them to be both sexual and empowering. I absolutely do.
Erotic and yet insightful. Just a real critique of our modern society. I hear you. That's why I take naked pictures every day. Moving on. Gentlemen, let's kick things off with the very beginning. Obviously, we're here to talk about your careers, your lives that have been on Twitch. Tell us a little bit. Let's start with Ellohime. How did you get started in this crazy mixed up mess that is Twitch?
I've got kind of a weird story, right? I had just graduated college with my AA degree. This was 3 years ago. I'm kind of a late bloomer, and I had about $200 left with my financial aid after everything was said and done. So I have like $200 from the government, right? And so, like a normal, responsible human being would probably save this money till they could find a job of some sort. But me being who I am, I did not do that. So I bought a $200 Founders Pack for Neverwinter, which was a free-to-play MMO, just to play the game 5 days early, and that's what I did. I like to speed run characters, right? So I jumped on with some guys that I had just randomly met. Normally I jump into an MMO and I just go solo, but what had happened was I got on the forum and decided to run with a group, and those guys were actually streaming. We were actually everybody was a different class. So they were streaming each of their classes, and I was the only one that wasn't streaming. So I decided to turn on the stream. So I downloaded OBS about midnight, and then about 4 a.m. in the morning, I flipped on the stream, and that was that. I was partnered about a week later. I had a very kind of special, it was kind of a perfect storm, right? So I was one of the few people who was dumb enough to buy a $200 Founders Pack. So I was one of the few people that was actually in the game. Then I leveled up to max level with my Trickster Rogue in a couple of days. And so I was the only one who had this content. And because it was such an iconic game, place setting, Forgotten Realms, a lot of people were really interested in it. So, I flipped on the stream to 500 people early in the morning, all wanting to know. I had a microphone, that was it, and I had my laptop set up next to me on my right so I could read chat. And I guess about a week later, I said I was partnered. And then a week after that, I talked to my girlfriend at the time, fiance now, and said, hey, I want to pursue this. I want to do this. There's like people that are showing up and I don't know where this could go. And she was like, do it. I support you 100%. So here I am, 3 years later. Gosh, it's crazy when you say it like that. But yeah, no, 3 years later.
Now, Koh, you actually had your 3-year anniversary. What was it, last week? I think it was.
April 4th.
Yeah.
This month.
How does that feel? And how did you get into streaming?
It's been great, and the ride up until this point has just been completely unexpected and completely awesome. For me personally, I got to a point in where I was working IT. I've been working for a clinical research institute for a while. And it got to the point where I was offered these kind of two different paths. I was moving away from my current job into, two different sections. They were kind of fighting over, where I was going to go and stuff. And I realized that both of these positions, although they'd both be really good for me, that, one was a management, and there goes my camera. One was,
we'll roll with it. We'll do it live.
No idea. I'm just going to try to turn it off and on here, but it should be back. So I was kind of offered these two different positions, and I kind of realized both of them were going to lock me into this. This is going to be my life if I went either of these. And I kind of had a talk with my wife at the time, and kind of sat down and realized that I didn't want to do that. That's not my plan. That's not what I wanted to do with my life. So I walked in the next day and I went to the meeting where I was supposed to tell my manager which way I was going, and I quit. And there goes my camera again. And,
was it because you were? I mean, if this is your IT work, I'm confused why people were so eager to use your talents.
Well, it was going. Everything was going kind of. Yeah, I know, right? With
the web. Yeah, it was a joke.
But I'm sitting here like frantically trying to figure out what's going on my camera. So, but no, it was pretty interesting because I decided that I'd always wanted to go into in game design, and I had this idea for a game I'd been kicking around for years at the time that I'd been kind of developing on the back end. So I actually dropped. I dropped the job, I quit, and I went to game design school at Full Sail to do an online course kind of thing. And I did that for a little bit and was kind of in there for about a year or so, was DJing on the side to kind of pass the time. And at one point, this game came out called Defiance. And I led guilds for a portion, and I had this kind of guild that I was part of, and we'd always kind of hang out inside and outside of games. And this game Defiance was one they wanted to see. So it kind of talked me into just, setting up Twitch and OBS so they could watch it and decide if they wanted to buy it or not. So that's how it all kind of started. And, I streamed the first day with a $3 Walmart microphone and no webcam. And, it got like 30 viewers. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And, the next day I get on and I had a few more. And by the end of the first month of streaming, I was averaging about 150 viewers in this game on at a weird time. Every other major streamer had left it at that point. And there it goes again. And this is just going to be a reoccurring
theme. We have a static picture for you now that looks
that's
wonderful.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So basically, that's how it all started. And it all started with Defiance. I actually moved to Neverwinter shortly after. That's where I met Ello for the first time. That was kind of the next game I streamed. And things just kind of kept moving up. Interestingly enough, I did shortly thereafter hit a downward decline over those like 3 months after that. Almost considered quitting Twitch. But at the end of that 3 months, kind of sat down, reassessed my channel, made some pretty big changes. That's when I implemented like the family friendly stuff, redid my logos and artwork, and did all that kind of stuff. And it's only been up since then. It's just pretty much been an upward run since then. And that was about 2.5 years ago now that I kind of did that big change. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
That's interesting to hear that you instituted sort of a family-friendly stream, because I've watched your stream and I know that there's a distinct lack of swear words, which, depending on your taste, I'm sure I don't mind a profanity-laced stream, but I don't know. It seems to suit your style properly, because you seem like a very calm guy who does things very methodically, and so it makes sense that like when you fall off a cliff, instead of going bullshit, you're yelling like poop. Well, it seems somehow characteristic.
Dark Souls 3 has been a little bit rough for me, to be honest. I've kind of gone outside of my normal cursing comfort zone with Dark Souls 3. But outside of that, no, it was a pretty rough change. If you watch like my first streams, I was compared to a pirate in many ways. I was definitely not by any means a family-friendly streamer. It was yeah, very different. And the first few months for me were really rough. Should I just keep my camera
You should
off?
probably just keep your camera
Yeah,
off.
okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, it was a big change. The first few months of Family Friendly were very rough. We actually came up with all these games when I would when I would cuss or curse or accidentally do things, different things would happen in the channel. Like I'd give out tokens, my channel currency and stuff like that. And it was an interesting adjustment period, but we got there over time. We got there, and now that's where we are pretty much now.
Now, Ellohime, you mentioned that your girlfriend at the time and your fiance now, which congratulations, by the way, supported your streaming habit. Co, we've seen you on stream several times. Speaking to, is that your wife, your fiance, your girlfriend?
For me, it's my wife.
Okay, your wife. Yeah. Speaking to your wife while you're on camera, and both seem to be very supportive of your streaming habits. How do you manage to keep, for those of us who aren't 19 years old and doing this from a college dorm room and have all the time in the world, how do you manage to keep a sort of stream life balance when you're in that sort of situation?
Well, what I found is really effective is if you just, whenever they come up to you and they're like angry, if you just throw money at their face really hard, they typically tend to be like, oh, everything's fine, and then I'm joking. If she's watching, she's gonna be so
to build
mad.
off that a little bit, my wife now has 2 horses, a trailer, a new truck. So yeah, no, it's the money thing really works. I use quarters though; they're a little bit heavier, so they kind of have more. No, that being said though, it's honestly, and I think Ella will probably agree with me here. It's one of those things that is always changing. It's a constant question that you're always trying to find the answer to. The more you devote to your stream, obviously the more time you don't have for your relationship. It's just, it's you can't really. Now, I've done a lot of things to kind of bring my wife into the show. She has emotes and stuff. Ello frequently has his fiance on stream, his kid as well, which is another big thing. But really, it's one of those questions that everyone has a different answer to, and it's one of those questions that you're constantly looking for a better answer, better ways to do it, better systems and things of that nature. But yeah, it's definitely an evolving process.
Well, we're really lucky too. I found that not every spouse, as it were, or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, is as supportive as Cora and Lena have been for us. We're very lucky. They're very special people, and they're very patient people, and they want. And I can speak for Co too. They want the best for us, and this is our passion. This is what we love to do. And I think that Lena saw that in Co, and Cora saw that in me. And, if you love somebody and they're really passionate about something, how can you tell them no? How can you not support them, in my opinion? And it wasn't like things weren't crazy good then, right? Like I had just gotten my AA, we had been together for, I think about a year or two. I guess it was 2 years by then. Anyways, yeah, 2 years. So we had kind of a history there, and we have really good communication. And I just sat her down and wanted her to understand this. And part of it too is bringing her into this world and getting her on Twitch and getting her talking with people. And I've seen some relationships where they kind of like, it's kind of a split, right? Like I do my thing in my man cave, and then you do your thing, and if it works out, it works out, But for me, it was very important that she understood what I did, that she was involved with what I did, that people got to know her as well, because she's a big part of my life, and I wanted people to know me. So, but yeah, we're full circle. We're very lucky. We're very lucky we have such patient women in our lives.
So speaking of spending a lot of time streaming, you've both been playing a lot of Dark Souls, or actually, Ellohime, you're about to start playing, I would assume, a lot of Dark Souls. Tell us about your character creation.
Co's been streaming it for weeks now, because he jumped in a little bit. There was this weird thing, right, with Dark Souls where the release was it was different to say the least. So if I wanted to play early, I would have had to have done it on my Xbox, but I had to buy it with Japanese currency, and then I would have had to download it after I turned my program. It was a mess, right? and so, but here's the thing that sucks about that is even once it was all said and done, it was a way easier version of the game than the PC. So, but the PC, yeah, and half the frames per second. But the PC had an embargo; you could only go so far. So it was like either you played the PC and only went so far, or you played on the Xbox and everything was super easy and the challenge was diminished, right? So I held off, but Cohh's been playing for weeks. Cohh's got some cool builds. I don't mind telling you guys about my Miss Doubtfire, but Cohh's got some really cool builds.
Yeah, the whole release for Dark Souls was, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it was one of the most crazy backwards releases of a major title I've seen on Twitch. Like we were told different things at different times by the publisher. We were given dates that they went back on later. Like it was a total mess. But for me, I did a full Xbox run, did the PC embargo up to the embargo point like 4 times. Now I'm doing a Spartan run, where that was actually a viewer voted run. We took we let viewers submit on this giant post all these ideas over the course of a week or two, and then my YouTube guy, Red Eyed Monster, who helped me with my Dark Souls 2 build a few months back, he went through them, made 4 builds. Everyone voted on them. We had over 2,000 votes, and we came with the Spartan build. So I have all these rules, and Red is King Red, who he Skypes every so often for rules and changes.
Thank you. Sorry.
But yeah, like I can only use a spear and a certain shield, and I just got my helmet today. I have to be bare chested and only a loincloth, and it's been one of the hardest runs I've done in Dark Souls. It's been ridiculous, but it's been a huge amount of fun, and it was so tough that I had to make another build just to like be able to relax in the game. I'm so on point on the Spartan build. If I do anything wrong, I die, basically.
I've watched you play the Spartan build, and it looks like every time you stub your toe on a rock, you lose like half your health.
Oh, yeah. And then if an enemy looks at me hard enough, I just fall over dead. I can't even have to do anything. I just die. So,
what's your death counter?
What was that?
What's your death counter for Spartan build?
I think the Spartan death kill, I think, is over like 120 at this point.
Wow.
And I just got up to this boss called the Nameless King, which is one of the hardest bosses in the games. So I'm sure that'll double or triple in the next couple days. But yeah, it's been real. It's been real.
So I just started the other day, I think yesterday or the day before, and I don't normally go in with a plan. I kind of just jump in and let chat kind of shape the character, my character creation. I actually have a YouTube video up of my character creation, which is absurd. On a second preview, watching it for myself, I'm like, I'm such a jeez. Anyway, so we ended up making a woman character that's got a mustache and a huge birthmark and pigtails, and it's a pretty atrocious looking character. And at the end of the build, everybody wanted her to be named Mrs. Doubtfire for some reason. So as soon as I was like, "What are we gonna do, guys? What are we gonna name him?" Right? And they're like Mrs. Doubtfire. And I'm like, I just started dying laughing at the thought of having a character, Mrs. Doubtfire, in Dark Souls. So I start running around just going like, "Hello, oh, I wish I could see my children. I have to be in Dark Souls. Oh, here's some monsters. Oh, I'll clean these monsters up." Like just running around like an idiot. And it's been hilariously fun. And I just occasionally I'll be in the middle of like, I'll kill a few enemies and I'll just stop and turn to a wall so the character's like right in your face. And I'm like, "Oh, hello. Welcome to the strip. I'm just finishing up some boss fights over here." And it's been ridiculous. But I've only gotten about 7 or 8 hours with it so far. So I just got to this swamp where there are crab people or giant crabs, and I'm trying to make friends with them, but they're not having it. So Mrs. Doubtfire is making some steamed crab for everybody once I get back on. But no, it's miserable. It's miserable. The game's so miserable, but it's so fun, right? And I do weird things like to like challenge myself that I don't need to do. Like where Cohh will like do like develop like a character and do all that stuff on the side. I'm kind of more impromptu, and I just do stupid stuff. Like I took Deprived, right? And I took no starting item. So my character is still pretty much naked. Like I've gone through 7 or 8 hours of the game, and I have like, I don't even have a helmet on. I've got 3 pieces of very light armor that you get right off the bat. And all I'm doing is running around with the katana, jumping around. And I've got 15 deaths so far. I beat the first boss without dying. which is a huge confidence. And yeah, so I felt pretty good about it. But this is the third Dark Souls plus Bloodborne, so I've got some practice, with kind of how things go. Even though it's very difficult, you kind of understand that there's a couple of attacks they do when you're close, a couple of attacks they do when you're medium, that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's been great, but man, they didn't hold back on the what the fuck meter for these for these monsters either. Jeez.
Ever since you see what's his name, Udex or whatever, and he just like a giant like shadow dragon bursts out of his chest, you sort of knew what you were in store for. By the way, if you guys challenge yourselves and you make interesting builds and stuff like that, and that's all really cool. If you ever want to be completely emasculated, I have a YouTube channel to show you where I've seen a guy do deathless runs of Bloodborne, torch only. Was one of them. He did another one where he beat the final boss of the DLC without rolling or sprinting, and the base armor set, like the one you get when you start. There are people out there who have taken Dark Souls, who've taken the Souls series, Bloodborne, and turned it into this crazy gaming like decathlon of just like stupid crap that just blows me away. So
yeah, those people. There's a term. It's called masochist, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This person takes a hard game, an already really difficult game, and then completely makes it 1,000 times harder.
Yeah, the top comment on the torch only run was, "What are you?" And the guy responded, "An idiot."
That's perfect.
Yeah, the streamer Lobos Jr. is famous for doing you can get a wooden spoon, just a giant wooden spoon, and he did an entire playthrough with just a spoon. Like he was sitting there like trying to find out all these strategies that you would never have to normally do on bosses, so he could get close enough to bang them with this spoon. It was incredible.
I tried to do a playthrough of Grand Theft Auto 4 where I had to obey every traffic law.
Oh, actually, I'm doing next month in May for my 3-year. I'm doing a Grand Theft Auto 5 playthrough, and it's a pacifist run. So I've already done this. I've already done this in GTA 4. It was one of the first streams that I did, and then on my 2-year anniversary, I actually got a keg. I got like a giant keg, and we did keg stands, and we went like 24 hours playing GTA. Well, now we're gonna do a pacifist run through GTA 5. So basically, what the rundown is, I can kill anybody I need to progress the mission, right, in the story. Anybody else, even pets, whether it's accidental or not, I pay $1 to charity for every innocent killed. And then on top of that, if I die, I'm going to be sipping on some beer. So it's going to end up pretty ridiculous, I think, at the end of the day. But that's coming up in May, probably May 16th, I believe, is the date.
Wait, $1 for every civilian killed?
Yep.
So when are you selling your house?
Yeah, I told Cora already. We've had a conversation, babe. We're gonna sleep on the streets for a little while. But the kids, man, it's for those kids. They need it. So no, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with GTA 4 doing it. So yeah, I'm right there with you. But that's like the speedrunning community, right? Mm-hmm. For like Dark Souls, kind of going back. It's incredible how some gamers can take a game and then just break it apart, right? They just analyze it. They find the best way to do this and that, and then they make a like a speedrunning attempt, and then from that you get all sorts of different variations. You get the 100% or any percent or this run, that run, and that's when you see those like no death runs, which is insane. The amount of skill and dedication those guys have to the games they play it's incredible. And yeah. On that note, you guys should definitely check out Games Done Quick this summer. They're doing charity stuff too, and you'll see all sorts of games being speedrun. So.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be as a news outlet highlighting the best speedruns and the big events. There were just some incredible ones. I think my favorite one was actually when they did like the Tetris speedrun. That was the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen in my life, because after getting through all of the levels and the increasing speed and stuff like that, he had to complete a blind clear, meaning all of the pieces were invisible except for the one that he was moving, in order to beat and he had to beat it before the credits were done rolling to beat it truly, and he did it live on stream and just went nuts. It was great.
With that, and then like the multiplayer when they verse each other, and oh man, when they do the special events, or like Witwix with Bashi, like
Yeah, that was
yeah.
crazy
Oh,
too.
God.
Yep.
Yeah.
So speaking of games, what are you guys excited for coming up the rest of the year, and what do you want to see at E3?
Ooh,
I'll take Elder Scrolls 6. You know, that's cool.
That's all right, I guess.
I personally, I don't like to do predictions or read anything about E3. I'm going to attend E3 this year for the first time, and what I do is I just stay away from everything. I don't want to see trailers. I don't want to see predictions. I don't want any of that stuff, because what I like to do is before I used to like to watch it. Now I'm going to be there. I like to just have it pop up, like, oh, this is from Sony, and then this game pops up, and I'm like, oh, like that makes it exciting for me. So I don't have anything at E3 specifically that I want to see, because I'm just waiting for the surprise. But games I'm looking forward to, now that is a totally different ballgame. I think for me right now, I'm pretty excited about For Honor. I'm excited about No Man's Sky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about Escape from is it Tarkov? I always mess it up.
Tarkov or something.
Yeah, something. Yeah, it's a kind of survival RPG kind of game with guns and gun mods and everything. Those are just a handful of things that I'm excited for. What are you excited for?
Well, for E3, now last year with the Bethesda thing, which by the way was one of the not only the biggest drops with Fallout 4, not only announcing that it was coming out, but at the end of the year, that was huge. But I think Bethesda really showed that not only can these E3 press conferences be successful, but when they streamed that on Twitch, it had over 500,000 viewers.
Yeah.
So I think I'm hoping this year that we really see kind of that hype cycle kind of continue, and I'm really hoping they're going to go wild with it. In terms of what I'm hoping to see from some of the developers, Bethesda, I'm not really expecting an ES6 because they're just doing Fallout 4 stuff, but Bethesda has hinted at a brand new IP, like completely not related to what they're doing, and we may get some details on that. I'd love to get some stuff on that. Also, I can't wait to hear, I don't know if CD Projekt Red is going to be there, the Witcher 3 guys, but maybe a Cyberpunk update, because I know there's a lot of people that have been chomping at the bit for that. Mm-hmm. Also, I kind of hope we get some more information from Kojima's new company.
Yeah.
That he kind of partnered with Sony a little bit to come out with some new products ever since the whole fiasco from his last dev that will remain unnamed. But yeah, so hoping to see some stuff out of that. Also, it's going to be kind of interesting because the Sony keynote, of course, maybe some more Final Fantasy VII remake stuff, maybe some new Final Fantasy stuff, period, although 15 is right around the corner, so they probably won't be doing too much for that. But yeah, really, ever since last year's E3, I really am kind of excited for it because I'm kind of digging the idea of doing it all on Twitch and with the Twitch community, because Twitch has been awesome about not only letting us, rebroadcast and comment on this stuff, but the fact that we can do it all completely not, worried about copyright or rights to use and stuff like that. I'm actually purposefully not going to E3 this year just so I can spend it online with Twitch and my community.
I was going to ask you about that.
In fact, I may be doing like a big drop frames thing with my buddy BJP and Ezekiel. So I'm really excited for it. Really looking forward to it, and I'm thinking it may be pretty big.
So you guys are looking that far ahead to games. I'm still looking at my Steam library and saying, when the hell am I going to finish all this garbage? and I'm going home tonight and, sorry, Rachel, probably purchasing Enter the Gungeon and playing that for the rest of the night. So
that's a fun one. If you like Binding of Isaac, you're good.
Yeah, no, that's a good one for like off stream for me, because I legitimately, as much as I rage quit, right, which is not very much, I pretty much rage quit that in a very quiet way. I played for about 3 or 4 hours and I realized, wow, I can't look at my chat at all while playing this game, because as soon as I look over, I die. And then as soon as I die, I'm just like, well, there was 30 minutes to an hour and a half wasted, so I'm just going to set this controller down and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm just going to walk away from this. So, anyways.
One of those rage quits where you just sit there staring at nothing for 5 minutes and then it says offline. It's
the new game blues, man. When you're sitting there on that title screen and you're just sitting there like, do I really want to hit A? Do I
do I want another?
Yeah. The new
it was
game
funny.
blues.
It was funny because Cobalt Streak, okay, who's really big in the Binding of Isaac community. He's really excited for the game. Well, just the other day he raided me, and all his viewers came in and they told me that he was on a 2.5-hour Gungeon run and then died. And he came in and I played taps, like the, and then I like right as it was starting to kind of build up, I cut it off with Never Gonna Give You Up, and I Rick rolled him, and I'm like, you're supposed to be the best. Why'd you screw it up? You're terrible at this, like give him a whole thing. So no, if Cobalt Streak's having problems in Gungeon, there's not much hope for the rest of us.
Yeah, because I watched him when Rebirth came out, when Binding of Isaac Rebirth came out, and I thought, this game looks pretty easy. And then I watched other people play it and realized, no, he's just a god at Binding of Isaac.
He's really good. He's good at those games, right? So, but he's, he was having trouble, so I felt validated.
So we're actually going to be bringing in a new segment onto Twitch Talk starting from this week, and it's going to be the biggest moment or the funniest moment on Twitch from the previous week. And I'd have to say that this week it was probably the kittens.
It had to be the kittens. Yeah, this was a shoo-in. Truth aired a stream earlier this week to talk about the dangers of smoking in a home filled with pets. Where you stand on that issue is immaterial to the fact that we got to watch Kittens for a solid 8 hours. It was just constant, and they dropped new toys in there.
Yeah, the toys. Come on,
asleep,
voting to get those lasers in was the best part of my day.
I'm not gonna lie. I tuned it in, and my brain did what it usually does with a novelty stream. It goes, "This is stupid," and then 4 hours later, I'm like, "I'm still watching this."
Did you guys watch it at all?
No, I did not. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh,
I feel so
I tuned in for a few minutes and
give me the breakdown. Give me the breakdown. What happened?
Okay, so go ahead. So basically, what happened was they had a bunch of kittens in a pen, and they had
how many is a bunch? Are we talking
like
3
6?
or 4?
I believe it was
think it was
six,
6 kittens.
Okay,
and I believe this was held at Twitch.
It was
Yeah.
okay. It was at the Twitch office, and they had this pen built, and they had scratching posts, and they had a soccer goal, and they had tennis balls, and they had mice, and one of those little things that's a circle, and they bat the ball, and it goes around on a track, and it's got a wiggly thing on top, and they basically just put a bunch of kittens in there with toys and with food, and just let them go ham. And the hilarious thing, and I still don't actually know what happened with this, is one of the kittens fell asleep. And they had an option, every once in a while they had a vote where you could type !revive or treats or lasers or something like that. And they had one for revive, which was apparently to revive this poor sleeping kitten. And I just know that a lot of people were angry because they voted 98% for revive, and the kitten just remained asleep, and people were upset about that.
I mean,
it's a developing living organism. It needs its sleep. So they were for our amusement, wake this kitty up.
damn cat.
I remember Chase from Twitch actually tweeted it out, and he was like, "Come and join this stream, guys, but don't click too loudly on your keyboards because you'll wake the kittens up."
Yeah, they all fell asleep eventually, I believe. And then there was one who was just trying to keep it together, and he looked like me at 3 a.m. after 2 monsters trying to get another hour of Dota in, and I was just
don't cats sleep an absurd amount of hours a day anyways, like 20 hours out of a 24
it's not as much
day.
as koalas, but it's definitely a high number. I mean, koalas is literally 20 hours a day.
The Australian, of course, the Australian had to make a reference to koalas.
It's not that level. Koala level is here.
Hey, you don't
Kitten level's probably here.
You're well, they're not as good as koalas. Shots fired on these poor cats.
Kittens.
They're putting on the performance of their life. They can't sleep. They're drinking Red Bull.
I mean, it's just like a typical streamer, right? If you do a 24-hour stream, you're expected to stay up for the 24 hours.
I've heard that cigarettes are twice as likely to kill or give streamers cancer as well. That's the next true thing is they're going to put a bunch of streamers in a pen and give them new video games flames and see how long they last.
And
No,
you can choose to revive them, and they just poke them with a stick.
just get out. No, it actually reminded me of when I was when we got our puppy. We got an Australian Shepherd puppy, and if there's one thing you need to know about Australian Shepherds, it's that they have more energy than you will ever have. And so we had this new puppy, and he kept staying up late at night, and we had a lot of fun because eventually we had to get him on the sleep cycle as us. And so I sat there for 2 hours playing with this dog that was basically asleep. And trying to get him to like stay awake for 2 hours, and it worked. But he sort of did the same thing that the cats do, where they were like, "Come on, get up for our amusement," and they were like, "No, nope, right here."
We used to have a cat that would escape for like 3 or 4 days, and we wouldn't see her, and then would come home, and then she would just crash on our couch. Like it was almost like a college girl or something. Like she would go off into the night, and then we wouldn't see her for like three days, and then come back, and then she would sleep for like 2 days straight. It's just on the couch, and you could pick her up in like literally like Monopoly guy on Ace Ventura, like do not pass go, do not collect it. You know, like you could do that, and then she would just like weaken at Bernie's. Like just go in the cats are weird, man. Cats will sleep forever. That's why I love them.
Here's a fun fact. Cats actually have a higher concentration of a certain muscle fiber that allows them to have short bursts of energy, and then their energy is spent, which is why they spend like 5 minutes a day, like 5 minutes at a time, super active, and then they sleep for like 3 hours.
I think I have that same thing because like my sex life is very close to that. Like I go
waiting for a trademark Ellohime sex joke. I've been 25 minutes, man.
You can walk in with a quick burst of energy and then they're spent. You know, like where do I put my hands? You know,
I mean, we got through what, like 45 minutes. It's better than Ali and Sonia, 2MG over C squared, and oh my god, it's Firefox. I think we lasted about 10 minutes with them.
It's gonna do it for us
good
here.
Good job, guys.
And Ello, and then when it's done, it's like Weekend at Bernie's, and you're just like, right, all over the place.
Yeah,
and then you put some bacon on the pan, and it's like, yes. I'm awake.
I'm part cat.
Oh man! Now, what are your thoughts on Reddit? Because I know Ellohime, you spent an inordinate amount of time on Reddit the other day. It sounds like
Someone's been doing their homework and reading
have.
my Twitter.
She's the best.
I don't normally get on Reddit. Like I never was one of those guys that like just went to Reddit. I don't know. It's hard I have to like think about it or be directed there. But whenever I am, I'm usually there for a couple of hours. So I don't know what it was that I was put to Reddit on or whatever. I don't know, but like some post on Twitter, and then it was like 4 hours later, and then I just made this post on Twitter like, please save me, I don't have much time, I just was able to send this one message, send help, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know, I started out with what was it, a guy saving a kitten from his truck by cutting it open, to watching Ted Cruz eat his own booger on accident during a live debate. I don't know how this happens, but it did. And
now hold on a second.
Wait.
You don't accidentally eat your own booger. There is a series of actions involved.
No, this is so legit accidental. You can see it in the video. Just go to YouTube if you're brave and look up Ted Cruz eats booger. Okay, it is like he's in the middle of talking. He's in the middle of a debate, and it's like hanging on his lip, and then it like transfers to the lower lip, and then at one point, he finally realizes, hey, there's something on my lip. Let me cover it up real quick. He does like a. Like, it's so bad, but it's totally accidental. Like it really is in his defense.
okay. So basically, Reddit is the new YouTube. Is that what we're saying? Like you're just lost for hours once you start. Like
Reddit is a horrible and amazing place. Okay, it's.
I believe that's actually their mission statement. Reddit, a horrible and amazing place.
Yeah, that's pretty much
what
it.
about you, Kerr? What do you think of good old Reddit?
I used to work an IT job, so that's 80% of my day on Reddit, and that was a lot of fun. I used to pretty much. I was one of those guys that had like my login with all my favorite subreddits and all that stuff. But as I started to do more and more other things, it started to become much more of news. And now, like in the morning, you know, whenever I wake up before I get on, I just look at what's hot on Reddit and catch up with news and things like that. It's really great for like hitting a bunch of bases at once. And, you know, it's a lot of stuff you find on Reddit you won't find anywhere else. But man, some of the subreddits and communities and stuff, it's just like, they're like little guarded villages. And if you come in there or post anything as an outsider, they all raise their spears. They're like, how dare you comment on this? You know, and it's just like, it's kind of interesting. I'm probably pretty soon going to be opening up a subreddit for my channel and kind of allow, you know, people. And in doing that, I've realized, like, I'm going to need a full-time Reddit admin. Like, this is not something you can just fire and forget. Because I've seen a few streamers do that. And it's like, you go to these streamers' subreddits, and it's just like, holy shit, does he know this is, like, has he read this? Does he know all this is here? You know, it's like, so yeah, it's definitely, in a controlled environment, it can be fantastic and really good. But left to its own devices, be careful.
It's funny because I picture like a National Geographic special where they're like
David Attenborough voiceover.
Scientists say there are subreddits that still have not discovered fire.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Reddites are hostile to invaders and tend to group up and defend their interests and thoughts.
But in like another subreddit, they've invented a way to have sex with fire, right? So like it can be one or the other. It can go either
complete
way.
with pictures and fanfic.
Believe it or not, we actually you came here for the high quality content. We're here to deliver it to you. Our technical director has actual footage of Ted Cruz eating his own booger. If we could just pull that up really quick.
Oh my God, are you really gonna do this? Oh God,
there it is.
Oh God, I
So
can't.
great.
Nope, there it is.
Oh,
Oh God, it's just hanging there. Oh God. Oh.
What are we doing?
It's like like you could see like the swallowing motion because he was like it like falls in his mouth like a bug into a pelican's mouth and he's just like and you can see.
God, oh.
I'm actually crying.
I don't.
I love that 2-second look on his face after he realizes for a sec like what just happened. Like he just kind of looks straight ahead and he's just like, well, God damn it.
It's like totally not his fault, right? Like it could have been. That's
Yeah,
my
it's the-
heart
yeah,
goes
it's
out.
the fucking
at the
booger's
same
fault.
time,
That's-
if you're in the middle of a speech and you haven't eaten anything for the last 5 minutes, what could possibly be on your lip?
It's
is
probably some of that
like-
steak I had earlier. Like it's only gonna be one thing. It's either eyebrows, eyelashes, or boogers. There's
Or
nothing else
what if it
coming
was
down.
bird poo? You don't know. You don't know. Like,
But like, how could he have handled that any better, right? Because he couldn't have. I think as soon as he understood what was happening, like he tried to be like sneaky about it, you know. But like, what else do you do besides go, oh crap, there's a bugger on my lip in the middle of the line?
Okay, to be fair, when you have a camera on your face with millions of people watching, eating it is probably at the bottom of that list. Like even if it was just, oh, excuse me a second, or something, it's like of all things, just it's right there. Everyone's watching every inch of your face, and you kind of pull one of those little.
At
things
least he didn't like turn and just be like and like spit it out.
Oh God, that would have like.
He just looks at Donald Trump and just
Yeah,
spits it right in his face.
This is
Yeah,
you. This is you in my mouth.
oh man! Alrighty, guys,
I
we
came out
have
wrong.
about 7 minutes left. So if anyone in chat has any questions for either of our lovely streamers, just type it into chat and we will get around to that. But I want to talk about your communities for a little bit. So we've got the coalition. We've got, is it the Vikings, Ellohime?
Yeah, the Vikings. Yeah.
Yeah. So
course.
tell us a little bit about your communities and sort of how those names came about and how your streamer names came about.
Oh, take it, man.
Cool. Well, for me, it was I've been playing MMOs ever since forever, since EverQuest 1, pretty much. That's when I really dove into it. And for me, it was kind of weird because I went through all sorts of names, but I never found one I liked. And when I was way young, like back in middle school, one of my friend's older brothers had this friend that he knew from Hawaii named K-O. And I always thought it was a cool name. Like that was kind of a fun name and kind of went with it. But I never really had a chance to use it. So I'm sitting here making a new EverQuest 1 account. And I was like, you know what? Let's be Co. I didn't want to be K-O. So I was like C-O. And then it had to be 4 letters. And it's like, but I still want to keep the name. So then C-O-H-H. And I was like, okay. So that I made that. And that was my account, made my character. And sure enough, it's been that way ever since. And then it's kind of funny because the second part of my name these days is a little bit little weird. Why is the Good Vibes guy last name Carnage? Like that's kind of odd. And that's because I led a guild for 10 years called Carnage. So that's where that came from. I've always been CohhCarnage, and yeah, that's where we are now. And the coalition actually was a viewer submitted, a community submitted name. We back in Neverwinter, funny enough, the game Ello started in. We were looking for a name for our guild, and we were just coming up with all sorts of names. And someone suggested coalition, and we put it to a little vote in the channel, and that won. And the rest is history. That was it.
That's beautiful. Now, how about you, Ello?
Okay, so let's start with the name first, because that's been a kind of an issue this last week, actually. Apparently, I had popped up very briefly on a pretty popular YouTube video, and they said my name incorrectly. So let's start there, okay? So my name is Ellohime, okay? Mm-hmm. It is a totally made-up name that I gave myself. I usually play a lot of female characters. If you watch my stream, I play female characters in MMOs. Pretty much anytime I can make a female, I do. I don't know why, it's just this thing I've always done. So I've always had kind of a fascination with the Hebrew language, and one of God's holy names in the Hebrew language is Elohim. So it's Elohim. So I took that, and this was before I thought this was going to be a thing or a brand or like a real name, and I decided to make a kind of a feminine way to Elohim. So I made Ellohime, and I thought that sounded a little bit more feminine. So ever since then, it's kind of my own made-up way of saying goddess is kind of what it's supposed to be, and it was kind of an inside joke for myself because I'm like a big bearded dude, and I, like my handle is goddess. But no, it's Ellohime. A lot of people say Elohim, Ellohime,
Ellohime,
Ellohime. I get like all sorts of stuff, right? And a lot of people think it's Japanese because it's Elo. If they go Elohime, then it's hello princess. So it kind of worked out, But this again was before I thought I'd have like again a brand and a stream and everything. So that's kind of where my name came from. Just kind of a love of the Hebrew language. And no, I'm not Jewish. I just love words.
Our Jewish director of video actually was upstairs while we were calling you guys and when we were figuring out your name, and he heard Elohim, and he's like,
"Yeah,
you mean God?"
Yeah. Some people come in and they're like, "Your name's really close to the name for God," and I never meant to like come across as like blasphemous or anything like that. But sometimes I'm like, it's a completely made up thing. It is, in reference to, but this means nothing. But no, my community, man, my God, I can't say enough good things about them. Like, I have some of the coolest people in my community. They are just so supportive, so patient with me. They have a good time. They are just incredible. I am nothing without my community, and I thank them every time I go on a trip on Twitter. I make sure to say thank you guys for this incredible opportunity. They enjoy the content. I've gotten to know some of them very well. A couple of my mods are now engaged. Just met in my channel. Aww. And were mods, and then started talking, and now they're living together and they're fiancé. Some of them married. It's insane. So we have a really close-knit group there, and I see a lot of those guys in the chat now. And I just want to always say thank you because I'm very blessed to have you guys. I just love my community. They're the best, and they're good guys, man. They're just good guys and girls that like to have a laugh and not take things too seriously. So
that's awesome.
So one question we did get from chat is, Ellohime, why are you the #1 female streamer on Twitch? And I guess you sort of just answered that, but if you can condense it down to like one sentence. Why?
Well, let me answer like this. If I, if I do this for any amount of time, my donations do not stop. All right. Listen, you sons of bitches. Welcome to my stream. Anyways, no, that's something that popped. I think it popped up during DayZ because whenever I was in a really critical situation, someone would be like trying to gun me down. I'd start screaming across voice comm, going, "Don't shoot! I'm a female streamer." Like, not change my voice at all. I'm like, I'm a female streamer. Don't shoot! Oh my God, please, don't. Don't treat me like this. I'm a princess. That kind of stuff. So then everybody's kind of went on with the joking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, to be fair, if you sub for private Snapchat from Ello, you will not be disappointed.
Yes, yeah, I actually do have a private sub-only Snapchat.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what
it's
that
way,
must be
it's
like.
way cooler that I did it as a joke. Like, how some female streamers or, personalities, they're like, if you subscribe, you get a special picture with the Snapchat. And I did the same thing. I'm like, all right, subs, we get a snap. And then it actually ended up, I'm starting to get to know a lot of my viewers and like where they're at, what they're doing. I'm having conversations with them on Snapchat. It's great. And, the occasional, appendage shows up and, everybody has a good time. So, anywho.
Well, the next important question is for you, Ko. How do you deal with being asked the same question over and over?
That is a great question.
So, Ko, let me ask you this. How do you deal with being asked the same question over and over?
Again, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it.
Perfect response.
That was maybe
Perfect response.
even the perfect end to the show.
That's it. We're done. We can't top that.
We're done and dusted. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was an absolute blast. I wish we could have had you for longer, but I know that matters are pressing and you have lovely audiences to get back to. So thank you so much. By the way, real quick, any shout outs, anything you'd like to say before we close up shop?
Thank you so much to the chat for showing up and watching this episode. First and foremost, thank you guys at Daily Dot for having us on the show. It's incredible of you guys to ask us. It's been a pleasure being here. And other than that, I think I'm doing some Dark Souls late night tonight. I think I'm going to be showing up sometime in the AM. So if you guys care about that in the chat, please keep an eye on my Twitter and feel free to follow if you want. If not, that's fine too. You can just wait for the I'm live message to pop up. But yeah, I think I'm going to be doing some Dark Souls 3 tonight.
So basically, if you want some amazing Mrs. Doubtfire noises at 3 a.m., go follow Ellohime.
And how about you, Ko?
And for me, well, big thank you to you guys for inviting us on. It's been a ton of fun. A huge shout out and thank you to my community, the Coalition. Fantastic guys. Always brighten my day every time I get on. Next for me is tomorrow morning, continuing the Spartan build at 8 a.m. like we do every day. I think tomorrow is day 906 of streaming every single day on our 4-year challenge. So onward we go. But yeah, big thank you to everyone who's been watching and the Daily Dot guys and Ello, of course. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, Ko, I purposely didn't thank you. Okay, so let's just.
Yeah, well, it's cool. We can talk after the show.
Well, thank you
Love
guys
you.
for so much for being on the show. It was a lot of fun, and that's gonna do it for us today on this lovely Friday evening, morning, wherever you happen to be. Thanks for tuning in. If you like the show, go ahead and hit that follow button down below the chat, or if you want to get access to the .fire and .fan emotes, which hopefully our technical director will be spamming in chat right now, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We really, truly appreciate the support. If you want to check out the VOD after the fact, you maybe share it with your friends and hear some of Ko and Ellohime's greatest moments. Go ahead and check us out on youtube.com/daily.esports for esports coverage from all walks of the esports community. Check us out on facebook.com/daily.esports, and then of course on Twitter @.esports. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Ian John Barker. This has been the lovely Syra Muller, and we will thank you so much for tuning in and see you next week.